Hello and welcome to this first guided practice session for the digital Kent Singers 2020-2021 season. It's not what any of us expected to be doing even a few months ago, but I'm really excited to finally be underway, to get to make music again, and to get to help you make music again, and to find ways to connect with you remotely and until we can be together again in person, making music and being in community together. I realized as I was preparing for this session and preparing for all of the sessions that are coming for the fall, I haven't really sung since March. And that may be true for most of you. Maybe you've done a little bit of singing, maybe you found ways to sing along or participate in a virtual project, but I doubt that any of us have been singing as much as we normally do when life is normal and we're singing in one or more choirs weekly. At the end of the summer, we're always a little bit rusty because most choirs take a pause over the summer. And I try to be mindful of that usually in our first couple of rehearsals. Well, I'm certainly extra mindful of that right now. I know my voice is not where it normally is, and you might be finding that yourself as you start on this process. So I really want to spend this session focusing on reconnecting with our body, reconnecting with our breath, and then reawakening our voice. It's something you could do over and over and over again. You could come back to this session or take the things that you learn in it and adapt it into your own practice. And I hope that you will. I don't expect to spend tons of time on warm-ups for any of the future sessions, maybe incorporating exercises that I think are specifically related to what we're going to be doing. But this would be the kind of thing that you can take exercises that we do here and do them on your own daily, and especially before you jump into the singing that we'll do in future sessions. So I hope that you'll bear with me, and we're going to explore this medium together and figure out how this works and ways to tweak it and ways to make it serve our goals as individuals and as an ensemble. So here we go. The first thing I want you to do is just to really take stock of your body. And this would be a great time if you could stand up. I'm not going to stand up very much because I'll obviously move out of the frame. But find some space, stand up, move around, and just take a moment to kind of take stock of your body. Maybe close your eyes. How do you feel? Did you move around a lot today? I didn't. I sat in a chair almost the entire day doing work at a computer, probably hunched my shoulders, probably slouched. Unfortunately, that's the reality of our day-to-day situation. And unfortunately, that's the reality of my day-to-day situation, even in a normal day. We spend too much time sitting down. We spend too little time thinking about how we hold our bodies. So take this moment. Is your spine aligned? Are you nice and tall? You want to feel drawn upward, lifted, but don't hold your shoulders up. Let your shoulders relax back, but try to feel, like those, we had an ornament on our Christmas tree growing up, but they're those little toys where you pull the string and their arms and legs pop out and then you let go and it drops. Feel like that little toy that you've got a string pulling through you. You're nice and lifted, but your shoulders aren't doing that lifting. The chest is open, and take a few really good breaths here. Feel everything expand and release. As you're thinking about, continue to breathe, as you're thinking about that alignment and being nice and tall and aligned, think also about letting go of any tension. Often we talk about letting the skeleton do the work instead of muscles, right? So allowing the structure of your body to hold you up and to feel lifted, but not to be hanging on to tension anywhere. And there's so many reasons for us to feel tense. But just let the time that you spend watching this and engaging with what we're doing be a chance to let go of all of that. Breathe in and just breathe everything out. Now, maybe take your head to one side. Do you feel tension in your neck? Can you breathe into it and let it go? And maybe the other side. Does this feel the same? Breathe in and breathe out. Or is it a little bit tighter than the other one? Now let's go back to the other side one more time. And breathe out. And switch again. Breathe in. Breathe out all the tension. Now just hang your head straight down. In and out. Maybe roll a little bit to one side. Breathing as you do, roll to the other side. If you find yourself in a position where you notice tension more than another position, maybe just pause there for a minute. Take another breath and just let it out. And then move again. And if you want to pause and just do this for as long as you want, I think that's great. If you want to spend 5 minutes just relaxing your neck and stretching your neck, I encourage you to do that. We probably don't do enough of this during the day. And we've probably found ourselves sitting in front of screens more than we normally do. And we do all kinds of weird things with our neck and our shoulders and our back, especially if we're sitting on the couch or, if we're typing and we hunch. So just keep coming back as we do this. And anytime you can, take a moment, in the middle of the day, think about, how am I holding my body? Do I have tension somewhere? Can I take 60 seconds even to just breathe and release and let go of the tension that I'm holding somewhere? Now, I hope you've washed your hands recently for 20 seconds or more, because we're about to break CDC protocols and touch our faces. So wash your hands if you haven't, and just take your hands and massage your forehead. And really just continue to breathe and try to press out any tension that you feel so that your forehead just becomes super malleable and relaxed. And move your fingers to your temples. Same thing, just massaging away any stress. And your cheeks. Really let go. And the place where your jaw hinges. Do you maybe clench your jaw at night? Some of us do. If you do that, maybe you need to do this more often. First thing in the morning, before you go to sleep. Move your fingers around to the back of your neck. And then cross your arms and give yourself a little love on the trapezius muscles. And another good breath in and let it all go. Now scrunch your shoulders up to your ears and let it go. Breathe in, scrunch shoulders up, and hopefully you're feeling a little bit more awake. If you need to do your face a little bit more vigorously, get going and now go. Yeah, just shake out any tension that you're hanging on to in your cheeks and your jaw, that sort of thing. And now a sharp breath in through your nose. Some really cold air through the nose. Good. So now we've spent a little bit of time just reconnecting with our bodies, and we've begun the process of reconnecting to our breath and trying to feel the way our breath and our body are connected so that that alignment is helping the breath be fuller, be deeper without being forced. Another reason we want to get rid of tension is that it actually restricts our airflow. So I've done a lot of breathing in through the nose. Let's do a few breaths in through the mouth and see if you can make it an absolutely silent breath. So no obstruction on the way in. And out. So the reason I say a silent breath is, if we breathe in like a gasp, right? The reason you can hear the gasp is because there's something that's obstructing it or constricting the airway that's causing that audible breath, right? And if you do that, you can feel it feels a little bit tighter. So what we want to really think about is just being open and having a silent breath so the air can just flow right in unobstructed, and then we're not carrying extra tension while we're breathing in. The other thing I want you to start thinking about now too is filling up from the bottom up. So as you're breathing in, really letting everything expand all the way around. And then as you exhale, can you keep your chest nice and open? So maybe if I turn sideways, instead of breathing in, my chest comes up, and when I breathe out, my chest collapses. We don't want that to happen. We want to stay open the whole time. So think about keeping that chest open and lifted. Breathe in. And as you exhale, can you keep the chest open? Lift, 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 lift. Yeah, that's exactly it. So keep coming back to that as we're singing, as we're breathing, whatever you're doing, think about, can I keep my chest open? Some people talk about a proud chest, right? Like you're ready, you're standing on the stage, you're ready to present, this dramatic aria or monologue or something to the audience. That kind of chest where it's, here I am, I'm proud of who I am, but it's not a forced thing. It's just lifted and open, and our shoulders are back. Good. I want you to do one other thing. I am going to stand up for this one because I don't need my whole body in the frame. I want you to put your hands on your back, just like this, with your fingertips touching, and breathe in and see, can you get separation between those fingertips as you breathe in? Try it again. Do a couple more breaths that way, breathing in and feeling expansion even in your back. It's easy for us sometimes to think about expanding in our belly when we breathe in, but you really want to think like your whole torso expands around your waist, right? Kind of like you've like a big inner tube all the way around. And out. Good. Okay, so now we've done some really good deep breathing, worked on relaxing our bodies. So now we want to start thinking about controlling the exhale, because ultimately singing is a controlled form of exhalation, right? So we're going to breathe in for 4 beats, and we're going to hiss for 4 beats. So 1, 2, in. And a nice silent breath release. All right. So now we're going to do breathe in for 4, hiss for 4, breathe in for 4, hiss for 6, in for 4, hiss for 8. And then we'll do 10 and 12. And let's stop at 12. So 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So breathe 1, 3, 4. Into really slow. Breathe 2, 3, and out for 8. We're up to 10 now. And 12. Now, we're not going to do that again, but maybe you could pause and do it again, or the next time you come back to it, be more mindful of this. Was everything even, right? We don't want any, you don't want any kind of bumps like that where you accelerate, or where maybe you're hissing for 10 beats and then at the very end, you kind of peter out, right? So think ahead, breathe well and nice and slow. And then as you hiss, keep it really even all the way out. So think about that. Maybe pause, do that exercise one more time on your own, and really think about even controlled breath. We're gonna have other opportunities to do that. The next thing I want to do is just some pulsing. So we're gonna breathe, and then we're gonna do all right, so we're going to do that a few times. And I want you to really think, I'm going to stand up a little bit. I want you to think about it coming from here. We talked about from your diaphragm, right? Really, you can't control the diaphragm consciously, but we talk about it because that is where the impetus comes from when we're singing, and when we're breathing and exhaling, thinking about using those muscles in a more conscious way than we do just day to day. And so think about it coming from your belly, that so it's not just kind of chopping it off up here, right? I'm not chopping the airway or stopping the airway. I'm using, like if I was a bellows. So let's do, we'll do 2 on S, we'll do 2 on sh, and we'll do 2 on f. And then we will switch and do some voiced ones. So ready, go. S, 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 and breathe. S, 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 s. Now sh, 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 and breathe. Sh, 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 sh. Is it here? F, from here. All right. How was that? Did you find, were you really feeling a sort of sense of bounce and control from down in your belly? Or was it maybe a little bit shallow? Do you need to do it again? Stop and do it again. We're going to move on to doing it with voiced consonants now. So instead of s, sh, f, we're going to do z, zh, and v, right? So like a z and a zh, and then a v. Same placement for your tongue, right? S, sh, f, but just a little bit more engagement. We're getting our vocal folds vibrating now, finally, and still thinking about where is the impulse for this breath coming. So starting with z, and z, 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 z. Again, z, 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 z. Now zh, 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 zh. Again, zh, 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 and v, 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 and how was that? It doesn't matter where you pitch it. Somewhere comfortable is fine. I am a bass, and so it's going to be a little bit lower, but wherever is comfortable for you. So thinking about that engagement there. Now we're going to just do some gentle humming. If you've ever been in a rehearsal with me, you know we almost always start by just humming in the middle of our voice. I want to do that now. So take a few minutes, find somewhere that's just comfortable. Say, mm-hmm, and find in that kind of area, just very medium, and maybe explore a little bit lower, and gradually start expanding the range. Breathe as often as you need to, and explore a little higher. Maybe some sirens up and down. Is it open inside? Do you feel buzzy up in here? Not just living down here on our vocal folds, but really using this whole resonant space inside of our sinuses. And maybe let's now do just a really gentle ah, ah. And how about a siren from low to high and back down? Sopranos go way up into your whistle tone. Basses and tenors, you can flip into your falsetto. I haven't used my falsetto in months, so we'll see what happens. And ah. So do a couple more sirens like that. Great. And now, since we're in the comfort of our homes and not around other people, we can create aerosols without worrying. So we're going to do some lip trills. So if you struggle with lip trills, the sort of trick can be sometimes to help yourself by pushing your cheeks a little bit because it kind of forces you to loosen up. But and you know, we all have faces built differently. Maybe something you never get to be able to do without putting your hands on your cheeks. But if you can work toward not having to do that, I find for me personally, it took learning to just be relaxed to be able to do that. I think when I was younger and first learning to do lip trills, I would be kind of tense and I couldn't get it to happen. The other thing that it requires is really generous amounts of air, right? If you've done lip trilling, you know you're going to run out of air really fast because it takes lots of air to keep those lips moving. So just explore a little bit. Breathe as often as you need to. Be super silly. You're alone, right? Maybe you've got a family member or partner or a friend in the other room, but you know they can put on something else and listen to it while you're being silly and doing. Good. And now let's put some actual pitches that we're intending to do with that. I'm going to turn this up a little bit. So, nice and gentle. Pause there for a second. Think about your inhalation now, right? We've shifted our focus to producing sound and really thinking about the way we're exhaling. But are you still thinking about how you're inhaling? Are you doing that nice, relaxed, silent inhalation? Or did you maybe shift back to a sort of gasping, you know, can you hear yourself breathe in? Or is it nice and relaxed? Are you thinking about releasing and just opening up? Is your chest staying nice and tall? Are you breathing low first? So let's go back here and think once again about how we breathe in and how we control the exhalation. And two more. There we are. So lip trills, the reason why I love lip trills and why so many voice teachers and singers love lip trills is that by requiring so much air, right, we have to kind of wake up the way we're breathing, but also by having a point of resistance here at our lips, right, that you have to let the air move through. it actually takes some of the pressure off of our vocal folds. And as you can imagine, releasing some of that pressure on the vocal folds is just a really nice way to kind of give them a break and let them wake up. So lip trills are one of the best things you could do, like first thing in the morning, you get up, maybe you stretch a little bit and think about connecting with your breath. And then when you're taking a shower, perfect place to do some lip trills. Let the warm, steamy air kind of wake things up. Take some good breaths and just lip trill while you're washing your hair, while you're soaping off, while you're rinsing off. It's a really, really good way to just sort of gently get the voice going again. And just like we did, you don't have to do a really wide range when you start. Just get those muscles working a little bit. And that's a nice, soft way to do that. The other thing sometimes nice to do is a hum. I'm a fan of. Right, you don't have to start on a specific pitch. Just start somewhere that's sort of lowish, comfortable for you, and then work your way up a little bit. So you can do that on your own in the shower. It's a great way to start the day, especially because if you're gonna hop on a call and talk with friends for a couple of hours and you haven't done anything all day, our voice, it's like jumping out of bed and expecting to go walk up and down the stairs and go grab something from the end of the driveway or something like that, right? You would probably want to move a little bit and just get loosened up before you hop on the stairs or go do something. Um, in the same way, before we start using our voice, even to talk, it's nice to do a little bit of a warm up just to wake things up in a gentle way and say, okay, now we're gonna engage these muscles, and remember that they're very small muscles, right? They tire quickly, and if we don't treat them well, then our voice can start to hurt, and we don't want that to happen. So be nice to your voice, especially as we're getting back into singing this fall. Take it easy, take it slow, take breaks when you need to, drink lots of water. This is a good time for me to remember to take a sip of water, and feel free to pause and drink anytime you want. This is a good time. Because we also want to keep our vocal folds lubricated, and so we have to have enough moisture in our bodies to have that happen. So good. Now we're gonna switch over and do some descending patterns. And we're gonna just start here so it's not too high. And can we just do my, 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 my. Breathe well. My, 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 my. My, 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 my. My, one more. My. One of the reasons I like to start after we kind of warm things up a little bit, doing some descending patterns, is because when we onset on a higher pitch, we often tend to prepare better, right? If I start singing down here, then that's like, oh, that's kind of low. That's like in the range where I speak. And so I don't have to really think about that so much, or I don't think I need to think about it so much. But if I start up here, right, I don't really speak up there. So, and it's not too high, but it's just high enough that I start thinking, oh, am I sitting well or standing well? Am I breathing well? Have I sort of thought about where this note goes, and am I placing it and ready to onset there? And then hopefully as we descend, you keep that same sense of preparation. And instead of just letting things fall as you come down, you're keeping it there. So let's do, similarly, let's do and in fact, let's start with an N sound at the beginning, which is to place it. And was that? Have you sung much over the summer? I really haven't. And it's amazing how even just a few little vocalises, you start to go, I'm waking up my voice in a way that I haven't before. So continuing to wake our voices up, let's now work our way up a little bit and back down. And we're going to do, starting on an E, we're going to sort of move through the vowels. And kind of feel the way our tongue is nice and flat and forward. Sort of, you can feel the progression of how your tongue moves. You can feel how the space changes inside and see how smooth you can make that connection. And can we switch it now to ooh-oh-ah-eh, and ooh-oh-ah-eh, switch back. Switch back. Ooh-oh-ah-eh, switch. Ooh-oh-ah-eh, one more. Great, so now we've done a little bit of work on our vowels, and I want you to continue to think about this idea of, we call it like tracking vowels, the way they track, the way they move through and finding that smooth connection, and how can I find a little bit of the brilliance and the forwardness of my E when I'm singing ooh, which sometimes we tend to pull back when we sing ooh, but can we instead keep and find some element of shared quality across those different vowels? Good. We're going to go back to lip trills for just a second, and we're going to do. Now, as we ascend and as we cover a full octave on this arpeggio, I want you to think about not pointing yourself with your chin, right? Not, right? We don't want to do that, because when you raise your chin, it's kind of stretching here and it puts a little bit of strain on your vocal folds. So think about keeping your chin nice and parallel to the floor. And if you need to speed up the air a little bit, right, achieve the change in pitch through the speed of your air, not by kind of forcing something. So here we go. And think about how you breathe. Breathe nice and low. Let the energy come from down here. Two more. I don't know about you, but that was an F major. I, as a bass, don't really sing high Fs very often, but I find when I'm doing lip trills, because of the way it releases that tension, I can sing higher than I can if I just jump in and try to do a vocalese on right? And once I'm really warmed up, then I can sing those higher notes. But that's another reason to start with these lip trills, is to kind of ease our way into the extra energy that's going to be required to sing those higher notes. I don't want to think about it being extra effort to sing the higher notes. I want you to think about it being more energy, and especially more breath energy, right? So coming from here, is it coming from down there? never coming from here. Well, not pushing to create that, but letting it be this sort of grounded sense. And another reason why it's great to stand um, as much as you can is we can even think about engaging through your thighs, all the way up from the ground through your thighs, and really grounding yourself in your core and having that really strong feeling, right? These muscles that can hold us up all day, right? We could go out and walk, we can stand. These muscles helping contribute because, as I said, these vocal fold muscles, right? They're very small. And so instead of having these tiny muscles do all the work, we want to have a sense of these larger muscle groups doing the work for us. Um, Sopranos and tenors, maybe you need to go a little bit higher. We can do that in a little bit, or you can continue to do that on your own. But I'm just trying to give us a really great framework of different exercises you can do on your own as you're warming up to sing any day, or just warming up to use your voice all day. And then we'll incorporate some of these moving forward, and I really encourage you to use them every day. The next thing I would like to do is thinking again, like when we did those pulses, and it came from here. We're gonna try keeping that same sense of the onset happening low instead of up here by doing ah, ah, ah. That was not great, but you know, it's okay to make mistakes and it's okay to not sound great because it's the beginning of the season and we're getting reconnected with our voices. So instead of ah with a kind of hard onset, ah, 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 ah. Maybe change to and eh, and e, e. Sometimes I like to think of that onset as like stroking. Like I have cats, right? So like stroking a soft, fluffy cat. E, e, e. Right? You don't want to e, e, not hitting something, but just sort of gently stroking it. And part of why we start by doing something like on a hiss, s, 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 is because that's nice and smooth, right? You're not constricting here. Um, and so translate that sense of s, s, s to e, 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 e. How about ooh? Ooh, ooh, That's maybe as high as we'll go for now. And then let's do, now we're going to do e, ah. And I want you to think about the impulse coming from down below to give a little bit of definition to e, ah, 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 e, ah. Last one. E, ah. Good. So again, that sense of connecting with our diaphragm or connecting with our core, however you want to think about it, that lower part more sort of in your belly, in that solar plexus area. Ah, 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 ah. Like a good belly laugh that's going to help give us that impetus to to sort of drive those notes and give definition to things that we're really going to use a lot singing Handel. So to that idea, we're going to need to be able to sing a little bit faster. So let's go back here and do beady 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 and beady 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 beady. As we go up, as we get faster, are you staying relaxed? Are you letting go of tension? Maybe I can't because I'm playing the piano, but maybe you do this beady 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 to make sure that your jaw and your cheeks are staying nice and loose. Let's go back here and beady 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 back down beady 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 Good. So just getting a little bit more awake, a little bit faster. I don't know if you've noticed. I've certainly noticed I'm feeling a little bit husky today. My voice is a little bit overtired. I did too much talking earlier today and and during this without um, being protective of my voice. So be mindful of that. When that happens to you, it's a great time. Pause, take some water, take some deep breaths, and come back to it later. Going to do just a couple more exercises for this session. I told you it was going to be really just gradually reconnecting with our body, with our breath, and with our voice. Things that you can do every day. Um, I've kept it in a pretty comfortable range, hopefully for most of us. And it would be great to do it in a really comfortable range for a week. Every day you can do this. It doesn't have to be super long. You don't have to follow along, right? You can just sort of remember the different exercises we do. Um, but just as a way to wake up your voice, get back into the habit of using it regularly and using it in a thoughtful way, right? Because we use our voice every day. If you talk at all, you're using the same muscles that you're using to sing. We just don't use them in a very conscientious way when we're talking. And that's what I'm noticing today is that I have not been using my voice very conscientiously. So let's do E, 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 ah. And E, 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 ah. E, 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 ah. E, 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 ah. I'm going to pause you there. How's your chin? Is it going up when we go up? Are you doing E, 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 ah? Because that's a no-no, right? We don't want to do that. So think about relaxed, stable, right? Stable is a good word because stable implies grounded, implies strength from something, a foundation that's stable. Think about staying stable and think about the energy coming from down here. So E, 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 ah. Nice and easy. And just sort of fountaining that air up and over so that it comes from low and just sort of goes up and over, and you're not working hard to make that happen. So here we go. And E, 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 ah. E, 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 ah. How's your breath? E, 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 ah. E, 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 ah. E, 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 ah. you breathing well in between those? I sped up the amount of time that we're taking to breathe. So are you still nice and silent? Is everything just sort of dropping open? Is the air just pouring into you without that, gasping sound as it meets restriction coming in because you're not fully open? So think about that too. So many things to think about. Um, Singing is something we do naturally, right? Children sing at such a young age. It's something that uses, like I said with speaking, the same muscles we're using all the time, right? But it's something that to do it well and to do it healthily requires a lot of thought. And there are all these, tropes about the dumb singer. But really, a good singer has to be so smart and has to be able to think about these different things and hold in balance these ideas of no tension, but plenty of strength, right? Support without, being strong, but without squeezing, being stable, letting the air flow, letting it go up and over, being able to breathe quickly, but relaxing to let that happen instead of pulling the air in, right? So there are all these kind of paradoxes that you have to be holding in your brain, and you have to do it all effortlessly. So it's a lot to ask, even just to do these exercises. It's a lot to ask, and I think so often when we're singing in choir, we come in, we warm up for 5 minutes, and then we dive into the real music. And it's so easy not to spend the time thinking about what is the purpose of what this crazy conductor in front of me is asking me to do, make these weird sounds and move my body and do these weird things with my breath, right? It's easy to just sort of do them or go through the motions because there's something we do, every Wednesday. I have my favorite warm-ups, and so we do the same ones, most weeks. And it's easy for it to become kind of rote and thoughtless. And what we want to do actually is to shift so that the warm-up is every bit as thoughtful as what comes after it. So that during that warm-up, the whole time, you're thinking about, how am I engaging my body? Am I engaging it in the right ways so that the things that need to be active are active, but the things that need to be relaxed are relaxed? Am I breathing in such a way that I'm using my full lungs all the way from the bottom up, right? Am I expanding all the way around to the back? Or am I just kind of breathing shallowly, right? Can I breathe in such a way that when I exhale, my chest stays up instead of collapsing in on itself? Right? Am I doing all of that? And then as I connect to the voice and not just the breath, where is the strength coming from? Is it coming from nice and low? Is the energy coming from the breath? Or am I kind of squeezing things now that I'm singing? As I get higher, am I thinking about faster, more energized air? Or am I trying to lift and point to something and create tension that kind of squeezes out those high notes, right? We don't want any kind of squeezing to happen unless it's maybe in your glutes or something, right? But you want to think about that as you're ascending the scale. And then as we descend, right, being mindful on the way down that you don't just kind of drop things. Conductors are full of cheesy metaphors and analogies and similes, right? The notion of putting something down fragile, right? That you're going to support it all the way down and set it down carefully. That's what we want to do with any phrase that we're singing, even if it's just something as simple as, I want to think about setting it down all the way down. So let's do just a couple more exercises. Continue to think about all of those different things. Check the way you're breathing. Check the way you're standing or sitting if you need to. Check the way you're breathing. Is it nice and low? Are you filling up? Are you feeling awake up here and ready to let the air flow out of you? And so just a couple of last ones. Let's be really intentional now about how we descend. So we're going to start not very high. And if it gets too low for you, sopranos and tenors, bow out, take a sip of water. But I want to think about how we descend, holding that sound, placing that sound down carefully, and then also thinking about how we resonate. So we're going to use the vowel E because it tends to be brighter and more forward naturally in a way that sometimes we let like an ah or an oo fall back a little bit. We want to keep that E vowel nice and bright. E, keep it forward. And maybe you dropped out several notes ago, but thinking very conscientiously about when we descend, that something stays connected with the breath, stays that same kind of preparation all the way down, so that you're never just kind of uh, letting go when things get into the maybe easier range, right? We all have parts of our voice that are much more comfortable, natural, easy to connect with. And we don't want that comfort and familiarity to lead us to being a little bit sloppy and lazy in the way that we do it, right? So in the same, if I asked a soprano to sing a high G and she breathes and onsets on that beautifully, and she's going to think about that so much in such a different way, usually, from singing just an octave down, right? And what we want to do is sort of narrow the gap between that. Yes, you do have to prepare for a high note in a slightly different way from how you prepare for something in the middle of your voice and from how you prepare for something down in the lowest part of your voice. But we want to be as thoughtful about that preparation no matter where it is in our voice. So let's do one last one, and we're gonna go a little bit higher again. And you're probably familiar with doing this with me. And part of why we do this, and this kind of glided vowel, is because I'm trying to get you to think about gliding a little bit on the breath between those notes. So it feels like this smooth instead of like ah. We don't want it to be too discrete sounds. There are places for ah. That's not what we're going for. We're going for smooth and connected. We're going for using that starting pitch as a springboard to get to the higher pitch, breathing low, using the energy from there, not lifting, right? All of these things. So think about how you breathe. One and go. I, 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 ah. 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 Great. So again, sopranos and tenors, you might want to go higher. Now might not be the time to do that. But as you're warming yourself up another time, let yourself go way up and over. We want to warm up a little bit higher than we're going to have to sing in any sustained capacity. And so, but for now, we're sticking to relatively comfortable, medium range, just getting that voice working again after perhaps almost 6 months of not really singing very much. So there we are. We've had a number of exercises. We've done lip trills, we've done humming, we've done sighs, we've done these sirens. We've thought about our vowels some. Yeah, thinking about how they connect. Can we, you know, transition seamlessly and smoothly between those vowels? We've thought about ascending and how we translate that energy from the breath to be able to access those higher notes without hitting them, without squeezing to get up to them. We've also thought about how we descend by supporting, right? And thinking about starting higher maybe to be more intentional, because if we start in the middle of our voice, sometimes we're less intentional. And so taking that intentionality of starting higher and then carrying that down with us, so that when I sing, by the time I've gotten down a fifth, I'm still approaching the onset there in the same way. And it all comes back down to how we breathe. So before we go, I want you to take another couple of minutes just to think about how you breathe. Maybe if you've been standing, this is a good time to sit down. If you're going to sit down, sit not leaned back in your chair, but sit forward a bit so that your sit bones are under you, your back is nice and tall, your chest is still open. Some conductors like to say standing from the waist up, right? So the same posture from my waist to my head as when I was standing. I've just lowered down, chest open, breathe in and out. Breathe in and hiss. How long can you go? Let's do that again. You're going to breathe in and then hiss as long as you can go and as even as you can. Maybe you're still going. Maybe you stopped earlier. Maybe you have asthma like me, or your allergies are acting up, or you just haven't connected to your breath in so long that you go, oh my goodness, my breath capacity isn't what it used to be. That's fine. Take a moment, accept where you are presently, empathize with where you are presently, and adapt to that. If you need to breathe more often than usual, breathe more often than usual. I am confident that as we sing more, as you continue to rebuild those muscles, rebuild the voice, that you will get back to where you were, and hopefully we can get back to singing even better than we were in March when we had to cut things short. So thank you. This is just the first of many sessions. We will dive into the music of the Messiah next week. But I really wanted to take some time to think about fundamentals, to set ourselves up to be singing healthily and to be singing in a way that is facilitating the best possible singing and thus the best possible music making as we move forward. So again, thank you for joining me in this. It's a wild ride that we're on. It's not something I think we ever imagined for the Kent Singers, but I'm excited about it, and I hope you are too. I think it's a great opportunity. You know, making lemonade and all of those sorts of things. It's a great opportunity for us to take a step back, think about building ourselves up as individuals, as singers, and as musicians, and really honing the individual things that when we're in a group, we're still trying to work on, but maybe we let things slide a little bit sometimes. You know, if we're having an off day, maybe we just don't connect with our voices well. But I find when I'm singing alone, I'm very keenly aware of how am I using my voice, right? And I can't just coast because I'm the only one here singing. And so using this opportunity of being alone to build ourselves into better singers and better musicians so that when we are back together and singing together as an ensemble, we are just that much better. I think it's going to be a great opportunity. I hope that you will take all of these exercises, do them daily, or at least some mixture of them. Do your lip trills in the shower, do some stretching, do some breathing throughout the day, and build back up that muscle memory, that stamina that you're going to need so that we can take on learning this monumental piece and eventually get to perform a really great work of music together. I look forward to it. Thank you for being here, and I will see you on Wednesday at our next gathering on Zoom. Take care. Bye.